The other day I was thinking about the nature of the God argument because that's always something that I really had a problem with. So I would just like to share a couple of the ideas that I had. So I question the biggest things in life. What are we doing? Why are we here? What is the nature of consciousness? I think that we are simply stardust staring back at itself. That seems like an amazing yet accurate coincidence. There is clearly no God, and if there is, religion has obviously got it wrong. If there was a God, he would not be in the form of humans, since humans have evolved from lower species. By this logic, he could, and it is likely, that he is in the form of the simplest single celled microorganisms. If God is an idea, instead, from humans, then perhaps God is simply self realization. You'd always wonder if a dog knew that he existed. Does he have the brain capacity to realize that he exists? Or does he just go through the motions? And at what stage in evolution do species realize they exist? Or do they just go through the motions? Like, an example of that is I doubt a tree realizes it's alive. It just does. But humans realize they are alive. So maybe God is simply self realization. The point in time when we discovered we exist, when in evolution, the first thing to have self realization, perhaps that is the beginning of God. When we begin to ask these questions, it is our ability for higher thinking that is the real creation of God. Is it? That seems to make sense to me. You'll have to rebuttal in the comments. If we look at God as a shift in dimensions, as I've heard arguments for, then perhaps we have not seen enough to determine where we come from. Uh, a way of explaining this would be like a fish in a pond that's unable to look up. He sees only two dimensions. He sees side to side, and he sees front and back. But he cannot look up or down. So we can look down at the pond and we can see him in three dimensions. So in this God argument, are we, in this example, gods to that fish? Because we can see him and manipulate him through a different dimension. The one grace of the God argument is how did we create life? Science has come so far, and everything can be attributed to evolution. However, where did the universe come from? When was the start? Is the idea of the start of the universe futile, since time did not exist before the start of the universe? In the early stages of the Big Bang, gravity did not exist because of the extreme temperature. Could the same also be said about time? Did time not exist before the Big Bang? So, first off, we have to have a definition of time. And the most accurate definition of time that we can come up with in terms of our perception is about radioactive decay of atoms. So that is how we measure time right now. That's the atomic clock. That's what it does. So if time is the decay of atoms, uh, then time does not exist without this decay. And since atoms can only exist at certain temperatures, there must have been a time before time when the universe was extremely hot. So before these temperatures are occurring, time does not exist. Now, if the ultimate fate of the universe, as theorized now, is to expand indefinitely and then cool off uh, as fusion occurs and as black holes are created, and then finally as the black holes are destroyed by Hawking radiation, then there will come a time when no time exists because there are no longer atoms to decay. If the ultimate fate of humans is to return to the atoms that we came from, then we are one with the universe. We are all. We are everything. We will still exist, but we will not be around to see this existence. Our plight as the stardust looking back at itself is both small and insignificant. We are part of the universe. The universe is all that has ever existed, and we can get into the multiverse theory later on. I know a couple of you guys probably know about that. It's some really interesting stuff if you want to get into it. The universe is all that has ever existed, and we are all that shall ever exist. we are this time, and we are gravity, we are the relativity, we are matter, we are energy, and we are this decay. We are one with the universe. We collectively make up a very slight chance of the universe being able to look back at itself and realize what is happening. The problem we face in life are all minor in comparison. We are not important. Now, if you study the singularity and Ray Kurzweil and Aubrey de Grey and those guys, if you don't know about this stuff, it's very, very interesting to get into it. So what these guys think is that our sole duty is to be able to, in a sense, wake up the universe. How we would do this is we would create planet-sized computers that are much more intelligent than we could imagine. So before this sounds like science fiction and crazy, let's consider this. Moore's law states that technology will continue to advance at an accelerating rate into the future. Plus, we are also reverse engineering our brain. So we have the capacity, once we understand how the brain works, and once we have the hardware to be able to run these programs, we can create programs that will simulate our brain. Now, once computers start to get smarter than humans, they will actually engineer themselves and get continually smarter. So once it reaches this tipping point, that's called the singularity. And once it reaches that tipping point, we cannot accurately predict the future because we're not smart enough, because we cannot comprehend these equations. So we're also getting into quantum computing and how things can be rearranged at the atomic level. So we can create planet-sized quantum computers. We would just have robots that would go into these planets, take the matter, rearrange the atoms into these computers. In this way, we could create an intelligence that's greater than our own. Now, this form of self-directed evolution could actually be the nature of our existence. And here's where we tie back into the God argument. Are we God to these machines? If God creates intelligence, that's what we theorize, then to be able to look back at the universe and rationalize all that is occurring, then to these machines, since it is our duty to spawn intelligence greater than our own, we would be God to these machines. You might think I'm crazy. It's probably likely. I want to see tons of comments at the bottom. And just let me know what you guys think. Alright? Thanks.